Welcome to the Good Pod, where today we'll be covering Elsbeth Season 3, Episode 4, Ichabod. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Bleed. With me, my co-host, the one, the only, Marissa Scares. Marissa, you good?
I'm good. I have no accent. I tried. I was like, I should get down on it. I was like, I am great.
We learned from Elsbeth, you have to yes and you have to go with the bit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, like, I answer your question, but okay, I am ghoul.
There you go. See, Marissa, you can edit all that together and make it make sense. Welcome to
Jason. Are you a ghoul?
I'm good, Marissa. I'm very good. I just drained a body of blood and I feel great. Yeah. Welcome to a Halloween-themed Good Pod to go with a Halloween-themed Elsbeth. We are here. We're recording this today after Halloween, but you get the gist.
We just like the spirit is still with us in more ways than one, you know?
Yeah, for sure. How was your Halloween? You live in a high-rise Chicago apartment. Do you get
no? First of all, I'm in the suburbs. Second of all, it's not that high. Third of all, no one comes to my door anymore. It's very sad. I loved when I was growing up, like all the neighborhood kids coming out and, you know, stopping by the house saying hi. And even I was talking to my parents and they said they just put a bowl out this year. I don't know. What was the holiday vibe for you?
Listen, my daughter is out of trick-or-treating age, thankfully. So you don't have to go out to trick-or-treat anymore. And listen, when I got home from work, I shut off the porch light. I'm just like, y'all know the sign. Porch light not on. Try to use as little light as possible inside. And luckily, our neighborhood is not really a big trick-or-treating neighborhood in the first place. And then it was just like, I think everyone here knows what the porch light off means. Like, there's going to be no candy over there. Let's not waste our time going over and having no one answer the door. So luckily, we didn't even get a knock on the door. We didn't get a doorbell ring, thankfully.
So that's good, I guess.
We're Halloween Grinches. I mean, but that's fine. Did you at least have candy ready for the trick or treat?
No. Oh no.
Yeah, wow. So
no. They don't they never come. And then I don't eat a lot of sugar. So I'm like, I'll just have this candy. And then it's like this thing of like, I have candy, I'm gonna bring it to work. And then work being the museum that I work at part-time. And then everybody brings the museum. And we have too much candy. But I did get to participate in community events last week, which I think is more of the thing. I don't have a kid and I'm not married, so I'm not in that circle of people. But I think the trunk or treats and the trick or treating at businesses is more popular now than it was when I was a kid, for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We could be seeing a change in Halloween culture for you Halloween historians out there. But I don't know. I'm just I see it and I watched Slow Horses pretty much all day yesterday.
Sounds like a blast of a time. Here we are. Halloween, Elsbeth. It was an episode of Elsbeth. We'll just say that. I found the precinct shenanigans more interesting than the actual case this week.
Yes.
I thought the case was pretty cut and dry, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this is our new normal. I think we're going to have long murder scenes, definitely giving us more than we're usually getting. And then we're going to get Elsbeth coming in, doing her thing. But I was happy to see that we did have some precinct shenanigans for sure. So excited to talk about that part with you during this episode.
For sure. Before we dive deeper into the episode, we want to remind you out there listening and watching of some free and easy ways you can support this podcast. You can do that by reviewing, rating, and subscribing wherever it is you are watching and or listening. It helps us get into the eyes and ears of more people, helps affect the algorithm so that people that like this kind of content will get it in their feeds. You can also, if you want to just chop it up with us about any and every, chop it up. Get it. If you want to talk to us about anything about Elsbeth, The Good Wife, our podcast, just us in general, you can always email us at thegoodpodfeedback@gmail.com. If you would be as kind as to want to support this show monetarily, you can also do that by going to buymeacoffee.com/goodpod, where you can donate sums large and small to help this fledgling little podcast and its podcasters out in a monetary way. But yeah, so with all that out of the way, Marissa, let's get into the episode.
All right. Well, our little summary of this episode goes as follows. This week, Elsbeth heads to the suburbs, Sleepy Hollow to be exact, where picture perfect lawns hide some very messy neighbors. We meet Sharon, the self-proclaimed Sharon. By the way, side note, total tangent, but people are doing Ozzy for the elf this year instead of Shelf on an Elf. It's like Ozzy.
Oh God, really?
Somewhere. Yeah. Anyway,
it's funny.
But yes, Sharon, the self-appointed president of all of the things in the neighborhood, welcomes her new neighbor Beryl over with a walnut pie and a long list of rules. Beryl's totally not into it. She's very creative. She moved to the city to get away from she moved to the suburbs to get away from the hubbub of everything. But she's got some wind chimes that really rattle Sharon's sense of control, and friendly rivalry turns a little dark as the episode goes on. This is a Halloween episode, so there's a Halloween maze that ends up being assigned to Beryl in the neighborhood meeting. And during this, in her backyard, she ends up being decapitated. And the NYPD is called in because the body ends up within the city limits, even though the head was left in her house. And Elsbeth arrives dressed for a week-long My Fair Lady costume extravaganza, partnered once again with my favorite Detective Third Watch. I don't remember. What's her real name?
Detective Donnelly.
Donnelly, yeah, that's right. Between the suburban politics and jealous spouses, the overeager homeowners committee, everyone gets a motive and everyone's got ring cameras. That was a big part of this entire thing as well. Meanwhile, back at the precinct, we do meet Captain Wagner's daughter, Julia. She's there as the resident millennial/Gen Z consultant for all parents everywhere, coming in to explain IT to her dad. And she's picking up a vibe with Cameron, and Cameron's like, I could use some help with my software. And Wagner puts a stop at this so quickly because he is concerned about Kaya and his daughter and this whole thing. At the end of the episode, Elsbeth figures out that Sharon was the murderer because of a small detail, this fingerprint on a scarecrow dummy that she put outside her house that allowed for them to get a warrant to then go into the pipes of Sharon's house and find parts of Beryl in the plumbing. This was very weird. And so that is how this episode kind of comes to an end. That's our brief summary. But to get into more of the details, Jason, where do you want to start?
I mean, listen, let's start in the beginning. I think it is a coincidence that Sharon is kind of close to Karen.
Yeah. Well, and we should mention Sharon is played by Annaleigh Ashford, who I did not recognize until I looked her up. Jason, have you seen her anywhere?
Yeah, she's been in a few different television projects. I think on television, she's her breakout was Masters of Sex. That was a Showtime series with what was that guy's name? I forgot what the guy's name was, but it was basically studying like it was Kinsey. Was he Kinsey? Who was he? He was
yeah.
Studying how sex influences things or whatever. So that's where I recognized her from. She's also on a show called Be Positive, which was like a show about someone donating their kitty to someone else and it turned into a hilarious sitcom shenanigans. So that's where I most recognized her from. But in looking her up a little bit more, we did find that she's a big like Broadway person. She was in Wicked, Sweeney Todd, I think Legally Blonde, Air the musical. So she's in a lot. She's been doing a lot in Broadway.
Yeah, she was. The Sweeney Todd is what I remembered her from because Josh Groban was in that production. And so there was a lot of like Josh Groban-ness. And then also her portrayal. And that was also lauded as very, very well done. So yes, she is the Sharon of our story here. And so it is no coincidence that Sharon sounds like Karen, in my opinion, because this lady has like every suburban trope thrown on her as a character.
For sure. You know, obviously she is the head of the neighborhood committee. It feels like whether people like it or not, she's kind of appointed herself the head of the neighborhood committee. Like no one asked her to take on this role. She just does it herself, thinking she is being helpful or helping the neighborhood when really she's just kind of an overall nuisance.
She wants some control for sure. She's got a
Yeah.
binder. She's like, we don't have any HOA. However, you know, here are some rules that we abide by. We have thought that are a good idea. And that is like straight out of like that is scary to me. Like that was scarier to me than the haunted house. That was scarier to me than anything else. Like that is some scary stuff.
Trust me, there's no fright like a determined Karen walking your direction. Okay.
With a binder, even. With
Yeah,
a binder.
yeah. With a binder and a cell phone in her hand. Ooh. That is like the worst that you can imagine, and to definitely to a lot of people. Let's just put it that way. But I love that Beryl was not even having it. Beryl was like, okay, well, you can take your rules. I'll take your pie. You can take your rules back and shove it up your ass. And I liked how Beryl looked at the rules. She's like, huh, no, what did she say? No big topiary or something like that. She's like, but I noticed you have a huge tree in your yard. And Sharon's like, oh, well, the tree the towering maple was grandfathered into the rules. So I am fine with my tree there.
Well, and because Beryl is like an artist and she's like, look, it's casting a lot of shadows into my studio, and I just would love to have some light. And Sharon's like, no, this is the tree she raised her kids under, Jason. This is the tree that her daughter took her first steps under. By the way, though, I was like aware because it's like in between two driveways. I was like, was the house not there at this time? I was like, where's this going? And how far are those roots? Did they get into the septic? I'm just really thinking it through.
Yeah, so I think we get kind of a time lapse of all the ways that Beryl is annoying to Sharon, aka Beryl just living her life, which is annoying Sharon because Beryl's doing art in her studio topless, which Sharon can see outside her window.
As can her husband.
As can her husband. Guess what, Sharon? If you weren't looking out your window, looking in her window, you wouldn't have seen it probably. So mind your own business. How about that? Also, there are wind chimes that Beryl has that annoy Sharon to no end. So she's doing a lot of Beryl's doing a lot that really gets under Sharon's skin, grinds her gears, if you will.
This was interesting to me, the wind chime of it all, because at the same time, my mom has just procured some wind chimes, and she's like, we have to put them inside because the neighbors will get mad. And I'm like, when did this happen? When was this a thing? Because I sure remember growing up and hearing wind chimes all over the place. But I didn't know it was like a noise ordinance type of thing. And my parents do not live in an HOA by any means. But I was like, so you're gonna hang a wind chime inside?
Yeah. Not the question, Mama Garza, but I'm like,
she's like inside.
Is the point of wind chimes? Is it chimes because of the wind outside? And I don't think there's a lot of wind inside. So what is she gonna do? Just walk by the wind chimes, just hit them so they go off?
Okay. To be fair, it's going in a 3-season room, so when the windows are open, it will chime. But then I'm like, Mom, the windows are open. Why? How is that any different than being outside?
What is a 3-season room?
So how people have enclosed their porches? That's kind of it's one of those. We don't go in there in the winter. We only go in the spring, summer. Yes.
I like that. That's smart. But I think the purpose of the wind chimes is that you have them outdoors, and so that when the wind's blowing, you can hear them. And I do understand the inherent annoyingness of wind chimes, how they could be rather annoying to your neighbors. But it felt like Beryl had an overwhelming amount of wind chimes. There was a lot of wind chimes there. Maybe just one wind chime in your yard will do, but Beryl had a lot, which really enraged Sharon.
Oh my gosh, she could not handle it. She could not deal with it. And then she was like, she's doing this on purpose. She's keeping me up. She's having parties with drum circles and also these wind chimes. It's all, again, not to say that again that Sharon's are like Karen's, but it's all about what's happening to her.
Yes,
it's all about what is impacting Sharon.
And it does really hope that Sharon has a husband and a daughter that also seem to be rather sick of her and her uptight ways. Because I mean, we see the husband a few times. He's just kind of like, okay, honey, calm down, relax.
She's complaining about this party, and he's like, well, we were invited.
Yeah, you
We
want to
can
go have fun?
go.
We can just
Yeah.
we can be cool and like be a part of fun stuff. She's like, no, we can't do it. So yeah, she's obviously is having some vendetta against against Beryl, and we see this thing happening with Sharon and Beryl. And then we see like the title card many bad days later. um we see that Beryl's having a party, and she's also requesting that Sharon trim her towering maple because of the
Yes.
aforementioned,
Shade.
shade into the studio.
Well, and we get this whole thing, which was really interesting later on because the husband's like, oh, well, it's just a tree, and she's like, no, this is the tree. This is our family. And he's like, I didn't know it meant that much to you. Oops.
Yeah.
And then like the next thing we see, the tree's dead and has to get cut down.
Yeah, I mean, we see that the tree is dying. It's of natural causes. Wink, wink. And I think Sharon, although we don't learn this until later, Sharon does think there's some foul play at work
Yes.
here.
But she
Yeah,
suspects it's Beryl because
yeah.
Beryl's been talking about this. And we find out later it was just the husband trying to make
Oh,
peace between the neighbors.
yeah. Let's talk about it now because we do like at the very end we find out that I was like, oh no, I poisoned the tree because I didn't want it to be such an issue. Like that's not like that's not the husbandly thing to like. I wouldn't go to that. I would maybe try to convince my wife to come to reason and maybe make a compromise, trim the tree or take some branches off. Not I'm going to go out of my way to poison this thing my wife loves surreptitiously so that it gets taken down. And that was a shitty husband thing to do. I kind of felt for Sharon in that moment. It's the moment of her arrest, but I kind of felt for her in that we're like, damn, that's effed up. It was interesting because Karen, I was about to call Karen. Sharon is a murderer who, is obviously wackadoodle. But there were certain times where I kind of felt for Sharon on this journey. Like there's a moment where she finds out that her husband and her daughter had this thing called
Yeah.
what
Mom
is it?
free time.
Yeah, mom free time, where they're like, we've had enough of mom. Let's go hang out by ourselves without informing Sharon that they're doing this. So sneaking off to have daddy daughter time, which is like, oh, I kind of felt for Sharon in those moments.
I also, but we don't know if they tried to say, hey, mom, this isn't our thing anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
don't know if they
they
tried to have
know.
those conversations and
They
maybe
did. They
they
did. They know the
did.
reaction. They knew the reaction they were going to get.
Yeah.
They tried to like be like, "Hey, I don't want to trick or treat anymore. I don't want to help out at this." It would be a whole thing with Sharon. So instead of even going to Sharon like, "Hey, me and Dad want to go out and do something," she'd have a a fit about it.
Well, there is that whole scene where Beryl like sends donuts over to with the request to trim the tree. And like Sharon's daughter, Avery.
Avery, yeah.
Yeah. Avery was like, oh my gosh, donuts. I'm so excited. And she's like, no, throw them in the trash. This is like a bribe. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, we could kind of see how that conversation would go. We could kind
Yeah.
of make some inferences there. So, first of all, when I first saw that there was a husband in bed with her while she was like listening to the wind chimes and like not sleeping or whatever, I was like, oh, that's it. He's just going to be lying in bed. But he had a much more active role in this than I had anticipated.
For sure, yeah. So, and we get the scene where we're making Halloween plans, and Beryl is in charge of the Halloween maze, and his little will need some help, and the great and kind Sharon agrees to help put the maze
Well,
together.
but not of her own like goodwill, right? Like this is okay. So this is Sharon's gig. She's got a map. She has assigned things to people. There's the moms behind her, all of this stuff. And Beryl's like, oh, like I'm happy to do the maze. And Sharon's like, okay, great. I'll just like let you know all the people who've done it before. And Beryl's like, no, not this year. I've talked to some of the ladies, and I think we should make it even gorier, even cooler than before. And everyone else was like, yes, let's do this. Yes, we will help you, Beryl. And that's when she's like, I am so busy, but I live next door, so I will help you.
Yeah. Beryl is like, I don't know, for anyone else that watched The Walking Dead out there, Beryl is like the Rick Grimes that comes into the settlements where everything was all good with the settlement. We were surviving the zombie horde. We had a certain way of doing things. People may not like the person in charge, or the person in charge keeps everything running. Rick Grimes, his crew comes in there, and everybody starts liking Rick Grimes is way better. And at some point, you gotta be like, Rick Grimes is gonna change my community. Rick Grimes is gonna, is gonna take my main job away from me. That's what it feels like, because
it's like a power grab. Like, she's worried about her influence in the community, and the fact that she can't be president of, what was it, the welcome committee, the safety committee, the PTA, and that.
And again, it feels like she made herself the president of all these things, maybe over the silent objections of the other ladies in the neighborhood, because they're all probably scared to come up against Sharon. But here comes Beryl and her free-spirited ways, who doesn't give a crap about Sharon and her ways. Is just like, oh no, I'm gonna do this myself. I'm gonna do this stuff. Everybody's like, oh my god, you have such great ideas, aka ideas that aren't Sharon's. We'll get behind you.
She's like the cool aunt. Like the cool aunt that comes over, or that like has different ways of thinking, or like the liberal and the in a family of conservatives. It's like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? You have paint with colors? Like, what?
And Sharon don't like that at all. Sharon, I think, feels the power of Beryl starting to infect the community.
Well,
she can't have that.
Her name is Beryl. She might as well just roll through, like she might as well just roll on over. But yeah, I mean, and we find out later that Beryl really is like really community minded. She's been helping husbands make ceramics for their wives.
Like, she lets the kids come over and get high and drunk, like
any good neighbor would do. At least you're doing. It's like the cool mom, like in Mean Girls. Like, at least you're doing it here. At least, But she did stop Xander, a neighborhood kid, from stealing painkillers. So at least she has a line.
Yeah, for sure. She has a line. That's a good way of putting it. And so, we get to the Halloween night. We get to the Halloween maze, and Beryl is in the middle of the maze, and she is
I loved this. Yeah.
This is fun. This is good. She's like a disembodied head on a platter in the maze. Yes. And she, like, I guess, directs the children to where they can go to get their candy or whatever. And we see what Sharon's up to. Sharon's got a whole pumpkin get up. She does this whole thing where she sits on the porch and waits for kids.
Jump scare crow.
So she does this whole thing. She waits for the kids to come up on the porch, and she jump scares them by leaping out of them as they get their candy. Which I was like, for Sharon to be so like up in everybody's business, why would she? Because she says it's a thing that she does every year. Because like, I would assume, why would you do this instead of being out in the neighborhood doing other stuff? And also, after the first year or the second year, wouldn't people already know that's what you're gonna do? Like, I don't know. It was weird. I was like, that's a weird. I mean, but I guess she needed a way to commit the crime. And she sees Avery off to her community, because Avery's going to do something with the community,
volunteer in the community.
Volunteering. So she thinks. And so this is her way to, I guess, give herself an alibi for the murder. And next thing we see is Beryl is doing the thing.
This was so hilarious, because we have first of all, I didn't even know that we were in Sleepy Hollow until like later, but this makes sense with the embodied. So we've got Beryl with her head sticking out of a box, basically. Like, she's telling all these kids, you're in the middle of the maze, take your candy and run before you're taken or whatever. And then Sharon comes in dressed in her husband's scrubs with a chainsaw and everything, and she's like, Sharon?
Yeah.
Like, what
all you hear is like, which I think
brutal.
We don't see any of the gory details, but this has to be like one of the gnarliest, goriest, bloodiest ways that we have, murdered someone on this show. I was like, wow, they went full tilt with it, like cutting someone's head off with a chainsaw. Sheesh.
Oh, well, man. And like, they did a good job, because the tree got cut down with a chainsaw. I did love the guy who cut the trees down attitude of nature, man. Sucks sometimes. It just happens. And then there were chainsaws throughout all the maze. So I did not expect the chainsaw to be the murder weapon at all, especially coming from Sharon. I didn't think that Sharon would wield a chainsaw and cut someone's head off.
I'm just thinking of like the act of doing it. Like, would Sharon be like, all right, I'm just going to chainsaw this lady's head off, I guess. Like, wow, I did not see the psychotic in Sharon there. But yeah, and y'all, that took up a good 8, 9, 10 minutes.
All of that happens before Elsbeth or anyone from the precinct is on camera.
Yeah, I definitely at certain points like, this is going on a little long. Like, this is like I feel like this is longer than we're used to of the murder happening, and it took a long time. But yeah, we eventually get the crime done. We see, I think the props people took Beryl's head to their headquarters, because at a certain point the guy's why do we have an extra head? Yeah. And so I guess but
also, how did you not know it was a real head?
Yeah. I mean, y'all can't be that good to have props that look like extremely accurate to someone's head.
It had to smell.
For sure. And didn't her brain pop out of the head or something? Like, it was weird. So the justification we get for our people getting involved is that the head was discovered in the props people's headquarters in the city. So I guess it makes it,
a
crime covered by the NYPD, because when Elsbeth and Donnelly get there, Sharon's like, oh, why isn't Sheriff whatever handling this? He's a sheriff of Sleepy Hollow. And that was a justification. Like, well, the body with the head was discovered in the city, so it becomes a city issue. I was like, okay, sure.
Can we just talk about a moment here where Sharon is so Karen, because she is like, well, first of all, the prop guys come to clean up everything, and she's like, I give you permission as the, president of the safety committee or whatever to take all this stuff, and she signs it and everything. But then when Elsbeth comes back here, she's like, those guys are it has to be them. The guy's name is Chop. Like, what else could it be? Like, he likes chopped salad. Like, that's it. But she was so targeting these men this entire time, because later it's like, oh, it was probably them. They were probably getting high. And Elsbeth's like, no, they were having a nice Halloween charcuterie board.
Yeah,
because one of them's in culinary school. So this was very Karen behavior for Sharon.
That's a Sharon Karen for you, really casting aspersions on other people without any information. So, and it's, I think Elsbeth kind of clocks immediately that Sharon is trying to put this on other people, like from minute one. She's like, oh, like, you're coming at me kind of hot here. Like, you didn't even ask me how Beryl died or what the circumstances were. You just came in guns blazing, trying to point blame to someone. I think that's the first like ding to Elsbeth, like, huh, okay.
And also, let me just stand next to and play with this wind chime while I'm talking to you and see what your reaction is.
Yeah. Which, only in the way that Elsbeth can do it is that she's awkwardly trying to pretend like she's not doing this thing that she knows she's doing to annoy Sharon and see what her reaction is to Sharon.
Yes. Yes.
And let's talk about the costume of it all for this episode.
Yes.
It's part of the Halloween theme. We find out at the precinct that Elsbeth's costumes arrived late, so she couldn't take part in Halloween. So she's making this Halloween. It is.
I know. I loved, first of all, the costumes were over the top, even more than a regular costume would be. They were very, like, the size of Elsbeth's hat at one of these things was hilarious. And I loved the physical comedy between. I thought it was the Titanic. I had no idea.
I thought we were in the Gilded Age. I was like,
that too. Outfit. But I loved Wagner's response to this. Like, how, because she comes in and she's like, Halloween's not just one day. She's like, here it is. Yeah, here
it actually is, Elsbeth. It actually is. Yeah. And I think if you want to really look at this, like, this is real life. Like, I think Elsbeth dressing up in these extravagant Halloween costumes at a murder scene is like, little
A
tone
little
deaf.
much.
Yeah, a little
A little
much. A
much.
little much. I'm not
Especially when
a
it's not the day proper.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know, we didn't need
You
to make
kind of
this a week.
understand it if it was.
One costume, I get it.
I am not a My Fair Lady fan or stan, but apparently this is all these costumes were My Fair Lady adjacent. I feel like you would be a My Fair Lady fan and know about.
I mean, I've watched My Fair Lady like once,
Yeah.
but the thing that I was really trying to do, and Jason can attest to this, before the pod, I was like, was Annaleigh Ashford in My Fair Lady at all? Like,
Yeah.
was she here? Is there any connection to anyone that I have misunderstood? But I am really trying to understand why so much My Fair Lady in this particular episode beyond Halloween. Like, I understand, okay, custom came in late, you're gonna wear it just like one day, but the repeating of the gag pretty much was like a little too much. So maybe there's a connection there that I am not aware of. So if you are aware of it, please let me know. But it is not, from my knowledge, through Annaleigh Ashford.
Yeah, I mean, we know the Kings in general have a affinity toward Broadway
Yes.
and theater and all that stuff. So maybe it's part of that. I did enjoy the different outfits, different costumes, and the bad accents that Elsbeth put on at first. I was like, I'm all for a bad accent, a bad
The
impression.
Cockney accent.
Yeah, so that was a fun moment, but yeah, it was a nice sight gag every time Elsbeth changed out of and into other costumes. But a little much for a murder investigation. Like, why is this lady being so silly investigating this murder?
It did give us a few good moments though, because at one time they were interrogating the landscaper who came to like cut down the tree. He's like, what is this? Is this a prank show? And Detective Third's Watch is like, it can feel like that sometimes. Like, this is pretty much how it is.
Detective Third Watch, aka Detective Donnelly. I think the evolution of the detectives in Elsbeth has been something to follow, something to watch from season 1. Who every single detective hated Elsbeth's ways of doing things. They start to slowly learn by season 2 that Elsbeth does some things right. It seems like in season 3, all the detectives are just kind of following Elsbeth's lead because it's like, all right, it's been kind of proven that Elsbeth knows what she's doing. We're kind of let her take the lead. And Detective Third Watch was even kind of like trying to bond with Elsbeth in certain moments in this episode. Just like, oh, that's kind of a new wrinkle. Like Detective Third Watch, who is usually pretty gruff and pretty like, no nonsense, is they're talking about neighbors, and Detective Third Watch is like, hey, it's New York. We're all part of a big community here. Get to know your neighbors. It's like, okay, Detective Third Watch, who I recently saw Detective Third Watch, aka Molly Price, in the movie Roofman with Channing Tatum. When she popped up on the screen, I was like, oh, it's Detective Third Watch. Which is how I will forever know her from now on. Thanks to you, Marissa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's Detective Third Watch. I did enjoy that conversation because they were talking about like the difference between like living in the city versus living in the suburbs. And basically Detective Third Watch was like, yeah, like in the suburbs, people know you, but they know everything about you. Like you get a loss of privacy, but in the city, you may not know who lives next door to you, but they're still going to watch out for you. And they're still going to make, sure that you're okay. And I just have to say in 2025, as I usually do pretty much every episode of talking about a broken record, but this is very poignant because of what's going on in the world and how, people in cities are looking after, and they're doing so in the suburbs as well, but like looking after their neighbors, taking care of each other and making sure that everyone's safe at the end of the day. And they used like this little anecdote from Elsbeth of saying, I Gonzo lost a toy and I put up a sign and I never heard anything. And Detective Third Watch was like, just like, hold on, like, just wait a little bit. You'd be surprised. And at the end of the episode, we get the toy back. So
yeah. I kind of thought there was going to be like we were going to get more with the toy, and maybe someone found the toy. Maybe it'd be maybe a new love interest for Elsbeth. I don't know. I thought maybe
be a fireman.
It'd be a meet cute, and I was like, no, but we just got the toy left on the balcony. I did see people online saying that wouldn't it be interesting if Detective Third Watch and Elsbeth were neighbors, and this is how they found out.
Oh, that would be fun.
That'd been cool. But yeah, so like I said, that was an interesting moment for Detective Third Watch and Elsbeth to have this bonding moment. I think it was, it didn't really hit me until you talked about the community stuff here, where I'm sure this wasn't the intention at the time, because I'm sure the intention at the time when this was filmed, we didn't really have all the stuff going on with,
It
ICE
was
agents
common.
and
It
all this
was
stuff.
in the
And
ether, but it was not being acted out. Yeah.
yeah, so it also, and I'm sure they didn't intend this, but this is just our brains and how our brains work, how we think about stuff in the modern day of like, we've seen like video of community
Yeah.
literally protecting
Yeah.
people in their community and neighborhoods from ICE agents. So that was also really interesting. Like just in my brain, I'm sure your brain, like relating those things that we've been seeing, especially for you living in Chicago, where it's very like
Every day.
prevalent right now.
Yeah.
And just seeing these videos online of people protecting their neighbors and citizens from the ICE agents out there just randomly patrolling and randomly snatch people off the streets,
Or randomly using tear gas at a Halloween parade, whatever whatever they end up doing.
So it kind of struck me in that way. It more so did what you were just describing, like the community aspect of it. Like, yeah, that's interesting. I'm sure it wasn't intended, but that's what I thought of.
And I think it reminds me, I have to say there are times where I feel very alone, that I don't have anyone around me. I don't really know my neighbors. I know my neighbor exists. I grew up in a family where I knew, and I still know, the same people that live next to me growing up still live next to my parents. Like we still have the same neighbors. I played with all the kids. I know everybody's phone numbers by heart. Like we were that close. And so the fact that I don't have that as an adult where I live now is like a little unsettling, because it's like, it's not just like the cup of sugar, it's like making sure everyone is safe. So there was a fire. It wasn't like the fire alarm went off. Everyone was okay. But I was out there going, "Hi, I'm Marissa. I live on the third floor." Like, hi. Like, hi, this is, this is me. This is me. Like, hi, here I am. Can I help you with anything? Like, I'm here. I just want you to know that I exist. And
Marissa, it's okay to be vulnerable here and admit that you pulled the fire alarm.
No, I didn't.
To make friends. It's okay to admit that here.
Do not make me live up to your Halloween last name. But it just, say hi to your neighbors, like that. And even you don't have to say, you don't have to introduce yourself, you don't have to just hold the door for them, say hello, say, "Oh my gosh, it's so cold outside," or "Oh, it's so hot, it's this unseasonable weather." Like you think that those things don't matter, but they really do matter, because they create a connection, so that if there is something like a lost dog toy or an ICE raid, people know that there are people around that need help and need protection. So that community doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be, oh, that's interesting. It doesn't have to be like Sharon. Sharon thinks she's doing community things. Sharon thinks that she's running a community and doing things for the community. She's doing things for herself through a community. What happened with Gonzo and the toy is real community of saying, "Oh, look, I saw this dog toy. Here's the thing. Let me return it."
It's a selfless act that that doesn't require someone patting you on the back. Doesn't require someone knowing that you did something for them. It's like you said. It's Sharon's doing things for Sharon's benefit, and also trying to like get the attaboy kudos for for doing things. Returning a dog toy and just leaving it on the balcony is just like, hey, like I saw this, that you needed this, I found this, and I got it back for you.
Returning the shopping cart in the parking lot. That's pretty much like the same type of thing. It's like, I don't want your car to get hit, so I'm going to put this back.
Yeah, for sure.
That's about it.
That's your community outreach tangent for the episode.
The more you know.
Yeah, for sure. If we encouraged you to get to know a neighbor today, if we encourage one person,
but also, like, we're your neighbors. Reach out to us, say hi. Like, even though we're not living right next door to you, like we have, our little good folk crew, for sure.
Internet neighbors. But yeah, I think it was. I don't know if I think Ring got a unpaid for.
For sure.
Promotion here. The way that it's almost the way that you say Kleenexes for tissues now. People go, they had a Ring cam on their door, which is like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Ring branded camera for it to be like, it's a camera you put on your door, because I guess Ring was the most prevalent brand has done it in recent times. It's like, oh, everybody has a ring cam on the door on their doors now, which is like, it's so funny.
It's easier than saying doorbell camera,
Yes.
or like, what would you call it? I mean, again, my parents have one. They're like, let me check the Arlo.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. But no one knows what an Arlo is, but everyone knows what a ring
Nest.
is.
Nest is getting a little more pub, but
Yes.
Ring is still like the preeminent brand. So even if you have an Arlo or a Nest, it's going to be called a ring cam. I thought that was pretty funny.
For sure.
And these ring cams come into play pretty well here in this episode, because we use the ring camera to look at Beryl's visitors, which at first glance, it seems like there are a lot of neighborhood husbands coming over to Beryl's house, and you can only assume one thing at that point, that they're coming over there for some extracurricular activities. We also see Xander, a neighborhood teenager, running away from the house and arguing with Beryl. So everyone's, our people are like, let's talk to Xander, because he seemed to have gotten into an altercation with Beryl at a certain point. So we get Xander in here. Xander says, oh yeah, I was trying to steal some of her painkillers, so she caught me, she got mad, and who you really shocked was Avery, because Avery really hates her. Avery, who is Sharon's daughter. So that leads us over to Avery, who Avery had some text with Xander, like exclaiming she's gonna kill Beryl for being mad at Xander. Like, again, I know you're a teenager, but why would you be mad at someone for getting mad that you were trying to steal the painkillers? Come on, Avery, use your brain. But so that leads us over to Avery, which kind of leads us also into the realm of Sharon a little more.
Yeah, that's where we find out about like mom free time, and that Avery actually hates Halloween. She doesn't like it at all. And from here, I think it's the ring camera also comes into play, but on the other side too. So like we get the fact that Avery is like lying to her mom and doing all this stuff, and they were out at this diner. Her and her dad were out at his diner at the exact time that Beryl was killed. So this is like kind of not going to work out. But then there's this whole thing. Elsbeth is like, well, there was enough time for Avery to get back technically and go through the maze. And Sharon's like, no, she like doesn't know anything about the maze, so that couldn't have happened. And I was like, cool. Basically she's like, bet, like, let's go see, let's go find out. And so she is timing Sharon as they're going through the maze, and then halfway through she gets a call from Detective Donnelly. It's like, oh, what? Oh, they're arresting her right now, even though she's a minor. You could not time the fast amount of time it took Sharon to get out of this maze. So basically Elsbeth was like, well, it looks like you knew about the maze, even though you told me that you didn't know anything about the maze. So there you go.
It was just interesting because Elsbeth, it usually takes a long time for Elsbeth to like try and scare the murderer. But this happened relatively fast in the episode, where Elsbeth like lets Sharon know, like, I'm onto you. Like,
well, and she says, well, because Sharon, this was also A+ acting by Annaleigh, because this was classic white mom non-tears, because she's like, I just try to do everything for the community, and why does everyone blame me? And Elsbeth is just like, listen, if you want to help prove that you didn't do it, find me footage that shows that you were on your porch at that time. Show me that, and she's like, I will find you that footage. I will be exonerated, basically.
Yeah, so I mean, that's because it's Avery went into the maze like, oh, I don't know where I'm going. See, Avery couldn't have done this, and then she books it as soon as she hears that Avery might be getting arrested. It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, like you said, give me some footage that shows you were at your porch. We get some footage. It doesn't necessarily like. If Sharon wanted to do this better, she should have I don't know what she should have done, but this was not exactly like
she should have sat in front of the camera, because the camera, of course, was on the door. Right, exactly. Like there was no real way for her to do this, but we could see her like the scarecrow hand, basically, just there. But there were a bunch of kids that were like standing there, and they're like, hello.
Yeah,
what are you gonna scare me?
Like, how did you think this is gonna clear you? Because this just proves that you weren't in that place doing your thing. And Avery tried to, not Avery, sorry, Sharon Sharon tried to be like, oh, I just didn't want to scare that particular kid because he's so, it's like, okay, yeah, sure. And I will say this for Elsbeth. I've been complaining about Elsbeth's reveals for a while, but this is a really good one. This is like, because Elsbeth took Sharon back through the maze, and we see a bunch of people, we see a bunch of cops using chainsaws that don't have the chain on them. So Elsbeth says, oh yeah, like, you see how that one didn't have a chain on it?
How the prop people were concerned about safety, even though you told them they weren't.
It's like, so obviously that none of those prop chainsaws could have been used to behead Sharon, right? So weird. So you take Avery through the maze again, and then we get to the very end where all of Sharon's neighbors are around, and we see the actual real chainsaw. She says, see, this is the actual chainsaw that was used, and it was a chainsaw that was used to cut down your tree, which I was like, why? Like, don't the tree people have their own chainsaws? Why are the chainsaws
that
left?
was weird.
That was a weird, like, hand wavy way of being like, oh, don't worry about it. It was there in Beryl's garage. So this is the one that was used to, you know, cut down the tree, and also used to behead Beryl.
Yeah, and I think what I expected to happen here is, before going into the maze and doing all of this, Elsbeth is like, we got a fingerprint. This is fingerprint, breaks the whole case open. And I was like, oh, here's the chainsaw. The fingerprint must have been on the chainsaw.
Yeah.
Case closed, bada bing, bada boom. She's like, actually, there was a fingerprint from Tommy, the kid that you wouldn't scare, on the scarecrow dummy that we found in your garage. And that gave us the warrant that allowed us to search your plumbing. And then we found parts of Beryl in your plumbing. And that's how we know that you killed Beryl. And I was like, okay. That was a little far.
The journey there was very odd, right? Because like you said, little Timmy's fingerprint was on the dummy's glove, which is like, I guess they're saying that she left and put the dummy in her place.
Yes. And there's footage of him going up and like touching the dummy and saying like, hello, why aren't you scaring me, basically.
I was like, okay. But what we ended at was, this was just a roundabout way to get a warrant to start to look at her pipes, and we found pieces of Beryl in her pipes at her house, which I'm like, see, now that is like stone cold evidence.
Yes,
this is something that's going to get her convicted in court.
Yes.
Like, that's the type of evidence you need to be getting, Elsbeth. So I liked that they didn't use this, like, because I've been complaining about Elsbeth's like circumstantial evidence for a while now, but like, this is beyond shadow of a doubt evidence that you killed Beryl, because there are bits and pieces of her in your pipes from when you washed her brain and bone off of your body. Oh, gross. So yeah, that was great.
Like, wouldn't you just throw them away? Like, wouldn't you burn them? Wouldn't you, like, why did you wash them? Like,
I think maybe she had pieces of Beryl on her, like, on her body, on her face, maybe.
No, they said they got for the plumbing attached to the washing machine.
Oh yeah. Sharon, come on, girl, come on, you got to burn those clothes.
Yeah.
Murder 101 from Jason and Marissa.
Also, just know that your plumbing can be speeded. Yeah,
for sure. Like, plenty of people have been caught that way with someone else's blood in their pipes. So yeah, that was sloppy Sharon getting caught, and we do find out that at this whole, like, this end of the maze meeting with all of Sharon's neighbors, Sharon's like, yeah, you all hated Beryl, right? And everyone's like, no, we loved Beryl, but Beryl was effing all your husbands. It's like, no, they weren't. They were there being taught pottery by Beryl to make us these cute little mugs or whatever. I was like,
it was so like pottery 101. We all got ashtrays.
Yeah, I was like, what? That was crazy. That was like ridiculous. So I was like, okay. And we also, like, it seems like, Sharon's getting no sympathy from the husband or Avery. They're like, girl, you crazy. Well,
and he's like, yeah, I did kill your tree because I really wanted to, like, help you out, but there's really no helping you.
So the betrayal. And I loved Sharon's reaction to all this. Like, she's brought into this big production by Elsbeth, and at the end, when Elsbeth lays it all out of her, Sharon's like, well, why did you just tell me that? Like, why do we have to do all of this? It's like, I thought that was an interesting, like, meta commentary of like, why do we have to have this whole presentation? Why didn't you just come to me, tell me I was under arrest and why I'm under arrest? Why did we have to do this whole production? You got all my neighbors together. You got my daughter and my husband here to witness my arrest. Like, why did it have to become a show? Which is like, because it's a show, basically.
It's a show.
Because it's a show.
And I mean, she's wearing these costumes. We might as well, like, use it all.
What did Elsbeth and Donnelly tell you? Like, come witness the arrest of your neighbor and say your piece while you're at it. Hey, husband and daughter, your mom and wife are about to get arrested. Why don't you come have fun and watch? It's like, that is such a weird conceit of the show. It works though, because I did enjoy the portrayal of it, because I have complained of like, yeah, they just, in season 1 we were doing these extravagant reveals, but by the end of season 2 it's just like, all right, you're under arrest, come on. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, and like, I think in season 1 too, like, and this one did kind of harken back to that. Like, everyone had been attached to, like, had been talked to, had been seen or something, you know what I mean? It was like the, hey everybody, we solved the case that you helped us solve, basically, let me tell you everything that was going on.
And then we got a nice little parting moment from Detective Third Watch where she's like getting in on the Elsbeth nonsense of it all, because Donnie's like, oh, I'll say there were trace amounts of the slain stayed mainly in the drain. Which is like, okay, Detective Donnelly, you can have fun too at certain moments.
And I think Elsbeth sees this as like, well, first of all, they talked about lavish ladies on this, which is something that she would talk to with Kaya about, and then also, playing into this whole costume thing. So it's not like Detective Donnelly is a replacement of Kaya, but it's like she can still, there are other people that can fill this role for her. Like, she doesn't need to be like, oh my gosh, where's Kaya? Like, she can find different things. But
it also is like Elsbeth, like, my influence. Like, I think she's getting these attacks loose.
Oh, Padawan, go, young grasshopper.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we pretty much covered the main case.
Yeah, but we had stuff going on in the precinct too.
Yeah, like, and this was interesting for many reasons, good and bad. The bad being Detective Rivers is still here. Like, oh, I thought we were leaving him in season 2. Like, why is he back? He does seem to have gotten a better personality though. I think
the desk duty is really helping him out there.
Yeah, he's mellowed from when we last saw him, when he was a kind of a misogynist jerk when we met him in season 2. So he seems to be a little more mellow here. I would assume this means at some point he's going to be working with Elsbeth out on the case, since he's reintroduced here. He's reintroduced here and also to do some other stuff later in the episode.
Well, yeah, like, just to sum it up, basically we have, like, we're introduced to Julia because she's here to help her father, Wagner, with some IT stuff, which we did not know Wagner had kids before this moment.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe they had they mentioned he had kids or a kid. Maybe they had mentioned it in passing, but this, like, and the way they came into this was like, because Mercy, you asked me in the pre-show, have we met Julia before? Because there was no real intro to Julia. It was just like, everyone knew who Julia was. Everyone was like, oh, Julia, you're here. It's like, wait, who is this person? Like,
including Elsbeth. Elsbeth goes up and like gives a big hug. Like, and I was like, should I know this person? Like, I don't know this person.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it's a way for them to give us some background and context of like, hey, Elsbeth has met Julia before. Elsbeth and Julia have been buddies before, so it happened off camera. You didn't know about it, but this is something that happened. Julia is known to everyone far and wide. Where, Rivers, who I had kind of forgotten, like we like Elsbeth just walks to the precinct and Rivers and Julia are chumming it up as if they were been here the whole time. Like, wait, who, did I walk into another show? Like, who are these people? I was like, oh yeah, that's the Rivers guy. Who is this fine woman over here that they're calling Julia? And then we find out that Julia is Wagner's daughter. I was like, oh, okay, like, interesting. We're beating a Wagner kid, and then to find out over the course of the episode, Wagner doesn't have just one child. He apparently has
multiple children, maybe 3. I don't know, but Julia, I think, is the youngest.
Yes.
So we don't know. Like, maybe we'll see other Wagnerites around. But Julia, I hope we see Julia again because she was like really smart. She's into IT, which is great to see a Black woman, especially on television, like showing that they can also be into IT. It doesn't always have to be the same thing. Love breaking the stereotype on that. And then because it's usually white men, nerdy men who have no, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Anywho, so then she's there, and apparently Cameron's going to be in every episode now. Cameron's around. He comes in. He's like, yo, Captain Wagner, I know exactly what time Beryl died because of her fitness tracker. And Julia's like, oh, hey.
Yo, first of all,
hey, Cameron. How's it going?
I had many emotions during this precinct.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
These precinct moments. Because when Cameron comes in, Julia is obviously taking a liking to Cameron. She's like, oh,
I mean,
like,
yeah. I mean, it's Cameron.
Who is this man? And I immediately become enraged because I'm like, no, you are not just replacing Kaya with another Black actress. We're not doing that here. No, you can't do this. I was like, what I thought was Julia's purpose here. I was like, we're not doing this. We're not doing it. And then I'm enraged with Cameron because Cameron's like, oh yeah, like I've been trying to get my software updated for a while now, but our techs won't help us. And Julia, who's like obviously has some eyes for Cameron, she's like, oh, I can help you with that, maybe over lunch. And Cameron, who I guess does not have two brain cells in his head, does not clock that this is like not.
Oh no, he clocks. No, he clocks because he responds. He clocks.
He later tells Wagner he didn't clock it.
No, he clocks because in his response, because she's using some very like lingo-y language to Cameron of like, you're CMS and blah blah blah, and he's like, I'll brush up on my acronyms before then. And I was like, Cameron,
Cameron, what you doing? What you doing, Cameron? We're not doing that. Now, many things went through my head at this moment. I said, okay, are Cameron and Kaya broken up? Like, is that why Cameron seems to be receptive to this offer? Because if you boot up and some fine piece of chocolate asks you out for lunch, you are to say no. If like,
yeah, and that's why I appreciated Wagner here because he's like, no. Well, he brings in Cameron later and says, listen, these are two people I care about. First of all, Kaya, which was weird, not to say her like his daughter, but it was like, did you forget about her? Did you forget about Kaya, the woman that you apparently in love with and bake cookies for all of the time and live with and all of this stuff? Did you forget about her? Because I sure didn't. And then also you've got my daughter who I know has eyes for you because I was in the same room.
And Cameron at that point acts like, oh, what?
Of course. Of course.
But Marissa, are you contending that Cameron knew this was more than a professional lunch and he was trying to cheat on Kaya?
I don't think he was trying to cheat, but I don't think he realized he reacted in the way that he did. And to be called on it by Wagner was embarrassing. And I think
what I said.
Yeah, I don't think he in the moment he was reacting like
I don't know. Because I did think that at first too. Because it was like, why would you agree to this? Like, did you not think about how Kaya would react to this, Cameron? Because I don't think anyone in their right mind would react in a positive way for you being like going to lunch with another woman, even though it is talking about software issues. I think in the moment Cameron was a little dense at that first meeting and was like not thinking of it in that way, because I think he just didn't realize that Julia was into him, which maybe we need to question Cameron's
he's used to talking to dead people,
I guess. And maybe Cameron's just an awkward, quirky guy who does not clock when someone is trying to woo him. So yeah, and like you said, Wagner calls the office. I think he makes Cameron aware, like, hey, like she was coming on to you.
Like, I know my daughter. Like, this is what she was doing.
Yeah, and Cameron's like, oh, yeah, no, no, I will, like, that's not what we're doing here, like, because like I was worried, because like, does this mean that Cameron and Kaya are broken up? But no, Cameron and Kaya are still on.
Yes.
And so yeah, like, and then Julia gets upset that Wagner called Cam off on her, which I'm like, so I was like, so I think the best thing to do here would have been for Wagner to be like, he's with someone. Like that's
sure.
the whole like Yeah,
Sure,
like
but he is so Papa Bear right now because the whole thing was like he did not realize that Julia was an adult in the situation and
yes.
could make choices for herself. And even though he thought that Julia was having eyes for Cameron, I mean, she was, but it's up to her. It's her life. It's her thing. So he came in and kind of interceded and tried to protect Julia from anything when he could have like said, hey, he could have had that conversation, but he still, as he says later in the episode, is looking at this photo of Julia from like when she was 7 years old or something and still trying to protect her as a kid when she's 27 now. And so she has her own way and can make her own choices. And Wagner really believes in this and is like, hey, Julia, I trust you. Go make your own choices. And then the door knocks and she has made a choice to go on a date with River.
Oh man.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh no.
I just would have appreciated a one line to have said, and by the way, Cameron is dating
or
Kaya.
at least like mention Kaya in the presence of both of them. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like something like that. I was like, do we need to put Kaya in every room, like a picture of Kaya in every room?
tape it to Cameron's chest. My girlfriend, like, this is a picture of Kaya, my girlfriend, spoken for by Kaya, which I think I think we should start doing in society. When you're in a committed relationship, it's like an iron-on patch that you have on all your clothes. Property of this person.
No, not property. No, not property. Of. But the Irish do have a ring. I forget what it's called, but it's like a ring that has two hands and then a heart in it, and you wear it one way when you're single and another way when you're no longer single. So that way you can tell people. But no property of Jason. No property.
Sorry,
of.
Wrong choice of words there. But yeah, I think because I want to know that if Julia knew about Kaya, she would back off of Cameron for the sake of her character. But Julia was like, it's almost like Julia's like, I don't care if he got a girl, I'm gonna go after him anyway. It's like, I would appreciate just a line there. But yes, as you said, Wagner has learned his lesson. He should not be interfering with the affairs of his grown children. And he sees that Rivers, and Julie's like, well, it's okay, I'm going to dinner with somebody else. And we find it as Rivers. And this was very interesting because Wagner goes, oh, damn, damn, which is a black ass line from Florida Evans on Good Times, where she goes, damn, when she finds out, spoilers, that James Sr. passed away on that show. I was like, oh, that was like a interesting wrinkle callback. Like, I would have been interested to know, like, was that a Wendell Pierce choice?
Yes,
was that written in the script? I don't know. Written go, oh, damn. I was like, oh wow, that was very interesting. That was very fun. That is like a callback to Florida Evans. So yeah, that's gonna be like, I just don't know I don't know how often Julia's going to be here. I don't know if they're going to follow up on this.
I hope it makes some sort of mess for Rivers though, because Rivers, like, Julia's like, bye dad, and Rivers is like, yeah, bye dad, Captain God. Wagner. And so I'm like, I can't wait for Wagner to take this kind of out on Rivers, maybe put him on some sort of weird case with Elsbeth or something like that. Yeah. But I do hope we see Julia around. I think like it was nice.
I do too, Marissa. I do too.
She was a good ad. She was a good ad to the crew.
Very exquisite ad to the crew. Exquisite, let me tell you.
And I love, the representation of my people of having to be the IT people to their parents.
Oh,
yes. I love it.
Yes, it's quite a touchstone of millennial.
It's part of our culture.
Elder millennial culture.
Yes, like, and especially basic things like saving a PDF and then save as, like, those two things. It was they talked to the people. It was good to see
for sure.
But yeah, so I mean, this was our Halloween episode.
Yeah,
I mean, we didn't see any Teddy. We didn't see any Kaya, but we do know that Kaya is still on undercover and maybe has on a different case because, as Wagner said, that's the nature of undercover.
I'm still not sure because Elsbeth is like, I'm worried about Kaya because she didn't answer the phone, and Wagner's like, oh, maybe she's on another case. I don't know. I'm like, Wagner, you can't throw your weight around and find out what's going on. Like, I'm still worried about Kaya. I feel like she might be in danger. We're just waiting for that shoe to drop to find out that she's in danger.
Same.
We don't know where she is or whatever. So yeah, that was our episode. Another Elsbeth episode. You know,
still no Marissa Gold sighting yet. I keep waiting.
It is next episode confirmed. Because on the IMDb, it gives like a little preview of the next episodes. So there's gonna be the Marissa Gold is gonna be next episode. She's going to be working for a mayoral candidate. So I don't know.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay. What I feel like you need.
Well,
to
I was like, why would she do that? Like, she didn't want to be her father. Why is she being her father? Like, what has happened? What is going on? I need to know.
Is Eli Gold running for mayor?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
don't know. And also the mayoral election in New York is happening at the same, well, it'll be over by the time it, but it's like around the same time. So not that I really like the character of Marissa or anything. I'm sure I'll be very, very.
You'll be very excited.
Chill. Yeah,
you'll be extremely chill next episode.
Very NPR about it.
Yeah, okay. We can tell, Marissa. We can tell. So that is our episode. Marissa, do you want to tell the people where they can find you and what you're up to nowadays?
Sure. Hey, good folks. You can find me at itsmemarissag.com, where I have links to all of the podcasts I'm on, including this one. We are both on the podcast waves and on the YouTubers. So if you want to follow us any of those places, you can find links there. As you know, we are covering The Good Wife at the same time as we're covering Elsbeth. So 2 episodes a week for you on the feed there. Otherwise, I'm over on Whirlwind Podcast talking about Pretty Little Liars, one previously on at a time. And my sister and I are traveling through space on Star Trek The Next Generation over on our podcast, the USS Sisterhood. Those are all my pods at the moment. Jason, what's going on with you? Are we through the thick of it in terms of the love? I know Love is Blind is done, but I know Married at First Sight picked up. So how's it looking for you over there?
Listen, we're out of the frying pan into the fire. So yeah, early October, November, who knew was a season of love? Because we are wrapping up Love is Blind season 9 over on the Rob Has Podcast Network on the Love at First Sight feed. That is where you can find me, Asia Welch, and Barry Krukowski wrapping up the Love is Blind season 9 coverage. We did just come out with the reunion recap in the past couple of days, so check that out. We are kind of happy to be done with Love is Blind season 9. It was a little bit of a mess of a season, so that's done, and we are in kind of the middle phase of Married at First Sight season 19. Me and Asia Welch are covering that show over on again on that same feed. You got Love is Blind, you'll find Married at First Sight season 19. We've had a lot of interesting things going on with that because we're covering the episodes, and then on Patreon, me and Asia are also covering the show, and we are talking to we for the past couple of weeks we've talked to some past Married at First Sight participants. We talked to Michael from season 17, and this week we talked to Thomas and Camille, who I like to call the winners of season 18 because they were the only couple that stayed together. So we talked to Thomas and Camille over on the Patreon. We had a blast talking to them. It was so much fun. So go over to the Patreon, sign up so you can listen to it if Married at First Sight is your thing. We also got to talk to Pastor Cal, who is one of the experts over on Married at First Sight, who is one of the people counseling the couples, talking to them through their relationship. So me and Asia got to talk to him for the second time. We had talked to him last year, and we talked to him again this year, almost a year apart. So we had a blast talking to Pastor Cal. He is so easy to talk to. I understand why he's an expert on this show because he's so gregarious, easy to talk to. So we had fun talking about this season, some of the changes made to the format and to how they do things over there. So check that out as well. Yeah, got a lot going on. So those are where you can find me. That's where you can find Marissa. Until next time. Stay good.